Deep beneath South Africa, there's this whole other world, a place of absolute darkness and a silence so deep you could feel it. For more than 100 years, miners went down kilometers into the earth, carving out this massive underground empire, all for gold. But when they finally left, they left something else behind: ghosts. There's actually a local saying that just it captures it perfectly. Beneath the land of South Africa, there exists another world. It's a pretty haunting reminder that this isn't just about rocks and minerals. No, this is about a hidden realm where history and tragedy and folklore are all tangled together forever. So yeah, let's head down there. So, how did this all start? Well, it all kicked off on the surface with one single event that would totally reshape a nation: the Great South African Gold Rush. But this mad dash for shiny metal, it was going to unearth a lot more than just wealth. It was about to unearth some deep, dark legends. And what's crazy is how fast this all happened. I mean, in 1886, they find this massive gold deposit. Just a few years later, the city of Johannesburg basically just explodes out of nowhere. And pretty soon after that, the mining operations became the biggest the world had ever seen. I mean, the scale of this, it's just hard to wrap your head around. Some of these mines plunged more than 3 kilometers straight down. They were literally the deepest holes ever made by humans on Earth. Just think about that for a second. Every day, going down into a darkness deeper than anyone had ever gone before. But of course, chasing all that gold, it came at a terrible price. The conditions were just brutal. We're talking about scorching heat, toxic gases hanging in the air, and the constant, gut-wrenching fear of a collapse. Thousands and thousands of miners died in these tunnels over the years. And it's from this tragedy, this loss, that the legends really begin to grow. Okay, so now we're moving from the history to the folklore. Because as these mines were dug out and then later abandoned, they didn't just become silent, empty spaces. They seemed to soak up all the stories, all the fears, and, well, some people believe, the actual spirits of the men who never made it back to the surface. And these stories, they're not vague at all. They get really specific. The most famous one, the one that's been passed down for generations in the Witwatersrand area, is the story of the ghostly lamp. And the story, it's always the same. Imagine this. You're a miner, all alone in a deep, dark tunnel, and you see it. A single, faint light in the pitch black. It looks like it's just floating, moving slowly like someone unseen is carrying it. But the second you call out or try to get closer, it would just vanish. The story behind the light is just, it's heartbreaking. They say it's the spirit of a miner who was killed in a cave-in, and now his soul just wanders the tunnels forever, lamp in hand, looking for a way out that he'll never find. And here's the really chilling part. A lot of miners believed that seeing it was a warning, an omen that another accident was coming. And it wasn't just in the gold mines either. If you go over to Kimberley's Big Hole, which is one of the biggest holes ever dug by hand on the planet, the legend there isn't about a lost soul. It's about greed. The story goes that a miner hit the jackpot, found a massive diamond, but was murdered for it by the guys he worked with. They say his ghost still guards the treasure he never got to spend. The spookiness didn't even stand around. In the old mining town of Pilgrim's Rest, a place that feels like it's frozen in time, the weird stuff kept happening. People there, tourists and locals alike, they talk about hearing phantom footsteps in empty hotel rooms, seeing doors just swing open by themselves, and even spotting the ghost of an old prospector still looking for his next big strike. Okay, so we've got all these incredible, spooky stories that have been around for ages. But are they just stories? Or could there be some kind of rational, scientific reason for all these chilling experiences? It's time to shine a logical light into these dark tunnels and see what we find. So, this is where you can really see the two sides of the coin, right? Legend versus logic. For every strange legend, hearing voices, seeing lights, feeling a presence, science has a pretty interesting counterargument. Those voices, maybe they're just bizarre echoes bouncing through the tunnels. The ghostly lamp could be electrical discharges from all the rock pressure. And that creepy feeling of being watched, well, that could be nothing more than the effects of natural gases messing with your brain. When you think about it, a deep mine is basically the perfect environment to mess with your head. You've got weird acoustics that can make a falling rock sound like footsteps. The total darkness puts your brain on super high alert, so every little sound gets magnified. Then there are natural gases that can literally cause hallucinations. And finally, the massive pressure down there can actually make the rocks spark, creating little flashes of light. A ghostly lamp. But wait, it's not all about human ghosts. There's this whole other layer of belief here, something much, much older, that comes from the indigenous idea that the earth itself is alive. See, in a lot of traditional African cultures, the earth isn't just, rock and dirt. It's a living thing. And from that point of view, digging a mine isn't just digging a hole. It's like you're actually wounding a living being. And that risks making the spirits that live inside the earth very, very angry. And this belief, it wasn't just an idea. It led to actual rituals. A lot of miners would leave little offerings or say prayers before they went down into the shafts. They weren't trying to keep ghosts away. They were asking the earth for permission. It was their way of showing respect, hoping to keep the earth spirits happy and prevent a collapse. For them, it was all about keeping a balance, not about being haunted. So you might be thinking, okay, these are cool old stories, but they're just history, right? Well, not exactly. Those mines, they aren't completely empty. And the strange reports, they never actually stopped. They're still happening today. See, today, these incredibly dangerous abandoned tunnels are being worked by illegal miners called zama-zamas. These are guys who risk everything, living underground for weeks, sometimes months, just trying to find the little bits of gold that were left behind. They work in the deepest, most dangerous, most forgotten parts of these mines. And here's what's absolutely wild. They're reporting the exact same things the miners did 100 years ago. Down in that deep, deep silence, they hear these unexplained knocks on the rock walls, footsteps where no one is walking, and echoes that almost sound like they're answering back. The mystery is still very much alive. So where does that leave us? Kind of stuck between two worlds, right? Science and superstition, memory and mystery. These mines are like scars on the landscape, and they're filled with more than just gold. They're filled with a century of human hope and struggle and pain. So, is it really all just science? Can we just chalk it all up to acoustics, geology, and our own brains playing tricks on us in an extreme environment? A perfect storm for creating ghosts out of nothing? Or is there something else? When someone dies like that, so violently, kilometers underground, trapped beneath tons of rock, does a piece of them, their story, their last moments, does it somehow get imprinted onto that place? Maybe the real treasure they were digging for wasn't the gold at all. Maybe it's the stories. Because the earth doesn't just hold on to its precious metals, it also holds on to its memories, and it whispers them as echoes in that deep, eternal silence.